Uh, Doing my walk again. We'll start talking when people answer the chat. I figure we're gonna make things real efficient. We'll go live while I'm doing my walks and stuff like that. It'll be tough when I'm in the gym. Like right now at work, I'm doing a lot. So, I work from home and it's hard for me to really get to the gym. So I can only really get these walks in right now. And I'm gonna make sure that I do that every day. Like, what I'm saying, trying to get at least 45 minutes of workout every day, every possible day right now. So I'm going through this challenge right now with the lady at home. We trying to get back down. What's going on? Whoever's watching, make sure you hit that like button. We definitely going to talk some Cowboys football. Definitely. I think Jerry just did an interview today on 105.3 The Fan that led me to believe that Mike McCarthy is back, more than likely. Just just the tone of some of the comments make me believe that Mike McCarthy is back. I think that from reading the quotes, reading the article on The Athletic today, it just looked like he's pleased with how the team's responding, how the team is playing, going down the stretch. Um, you know, it doesn't sound like he regrets signing Dak and CD moving forward. And, I think that just depending on how we end these next 3 games, that's probably what it comes down to. And I don't see this team not playing hard. We got 2 playoff teams or playoff type teams in the next 2 weeks. And if we can play on their level, I think that more than likely Mike McCarthy will be back because they'll say this is a playoff team and we just got hurt. We got snake bitten a little bit. One thing I kind of want to talk about is the Trayvon Diggs situation with his health. It really sounds like there's a lot of miscommunication there. And from what I could kind of gather, and more stuff will probably come out, but sounds like he probably was rehabbing, but maybe there wasn't, maybe there was more damage done in other areas and it wasn't properly diagnosed. I'm not sure. I still got to do a little bit of digging. But, that's one thing that the Joneses in the offseason, in my opinion, got to clean up. I think they got to clean up the training situation because we have a lot of injuries. There's a lot of injuries, but it just seems like the timetables are really jacked up a little bit. If you just enter, hit that like button, man. Let's let people know that we out here. We getting it in. But as far as Mike McCarthy being back, you can kind of see it. Mike's getting a little bit more comfortable with this play calling too. The O-line is starting to gel a little bit, which allows him to kind of get in his bag a little bit more. And on top of that, Cooper Rush, like Ron Burgundy, is always going to read the teleprompter. He's always going to read the teleprompter, and he's going to run what the plays are. He's going to run the offense as designed for it to run, whether it works, whether it's not. You can always kind of tell with Cooper Rush whether or not it's a good a good play call or a bad play call. And, that's just what it is. Some of the discussion while we're talking about Jerry Jones and him liking or just being okay with what happened with CeeDee Lamb and Dak this year as far as their contracts and stuff like that. I think what they're going to have to revisit is not so much the money, but they're going to have to revisit whether or not they care what it looks like. I know you paid Dak this money, but every time we tried this formula where it's quarterback led, where we want our quarterback to be like the top quarterbacks. We want our quarterback to look like Josh Allen. We want our quarterback to look like Peyton Manning. We want our quarterback to look like Patrick Mahomes. Like every time we looking over the fence, what we're doing is we're neglecting the things that we're really good at, the identity that we really are. let's just keep it 100. And I kind of thought about it this morning. Sorry, I'm crossing the street now. I got to be on the lookout while I'm walking. But one thing that I know we're good at building offensive lines. That's been shown time and time again. This front office is really good at finding young linemen, whether it's through the draft, whether it's undrafted, whether it's free agents. If the Dallas Cowboys line is down, it won't be down for long because they know how to continue to rebuild it over and over and over. That's something that we don't got to worry about. If the O-line is bad, they're going to figure it out. We found that out this year. And whether it be that young guys just get reps, young guys get reps. As far as the running game goes, we've tried this before, where somebody out of the blue becomes our dark horse. And then what happens the next year, they kind of fall off from being that. But when we go into, actually investing in the position at running back, we have a running back for quite some time where we have his prime to deal with, right? And that's no knock on Rico at all. I actually want them to re-sign Rico if it makes sense for both sides, because it's got to make sense for both sides. This is Rico's last chance to get a bag. You know what I'm saying? Being 26 years old, he'll be 27. By the start of next year, he'll be 27. So it's got to make sense for both sides. Got to make sense for both sides. So when this team really invests in running back, when they do have that offensive line, it's a juggernaut. And we're always a playoff contender, or we're always a championship contender when we have the run game right and we lean on the run. We always are. You know what I'm saying? It just is. It's been for decades. We can build a line, and when we got a running back, we know what to do with it. That is just a fact, guys. It doesn't matter. So what it means is, hell, that was even going on when Will McClay wasn't even here. That means Jerry, Steven, whoever's in that building, the things that have stayed the same, it means, bro, we know how to ground and pound. That's just what Dallas Cowboys football is. We've been searching for an identity, but we've been trying to search for an identity that's not who we are. We've looked in the mirror and we said, you know what? I want to be skinny. You know what I'm saying? Even though our genetics tell us you're going to be stocky, you're going to be muscular. That's just who you are. We've been going against our genetics for years, trying to chase this whole, we want our quarterback to be this, our quarterback to be that. Guess what, guys? In our heyday, in our prime, when we won our championships in the 90s, our quarterback was looked at that like that anyway, even though he wasn't throwing for as many touchdowns and yards as John Elway's and all those guys that weren't winning titles. Troy Aikman was looked at his peers as one of them. It didn't matter what it looked like. And I think that over the course of this time, we care what it looked like. And I think that that's where you start losing yourself, especially when it comes to winning and losing. The way that we win football games, culturally, our culture is to run the football. Run the football. Crazy thing about it is, Mike McCarthy's our coach. Mike McCarthy doesn't want to run the football. And we're still able to run the football after, putting together and executing the draft plan that they did, the offseason plan. Guess what? Mike told them, we want to run the football. You didn't start out running the football. You didn't start out running the football. Now you're forced to run the football, and you found out that we are what you wanted us to be, quote unquote. Chris May said, "This coaching option sucks for us. Same old shiz. Hope positive change comes." I mean, I think that it really just has to do with the field of coaches. That's really what I think it comes down to, and just being comfortable. These guys like being comfortable. The front office loves to be comfortable. Woke says, good afternoon, DMV. It's a damn shame about this season and having to deal with an incompetent owner GM. This season, we've had to deal with that for a long time, my boy. We've had to deal with that for a long time. You know, I think that it's just coming to fruition that there's nothing else to blame at this point. You know what I'm saying? We blame coaches, we blame players, we blamed everything but what's in front of us. And here's the crazy thing about it. I've been through that syndrome. You know what I'm saying? Where I blamed everything that it was at the moment. But you don't look at the overarching, you know what I'm saying, artifact. I've said, oh, we don't got a line, this and that, blah, blah, blah. If only our defense did this, blah, blah, blah. If only this, if only that. I've done that. I've been one of those people. And it's crazy because you call everybody a casual that says the problem is Jerry Jones. The problem is Jerry Jones. The problem is Jerry Jones. As a Cowboy fan, you like, nah, it's deeper than that. We know more football than your fan base does or whatever team that you like. You know what I'm saying? We know more than you. How you going to tell us it's Jerry? That's the easy answer. And that's always what it's been. And then you go through it, and then one day you look up, and it's 26, 27 years later, and you realize, bro, I'm out of excuses at this point. I'm out of excuses. Maybe the people who have been casual got it right early. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the people who don't put in as much work, who don't have to read a whole bunch of articles, who aren't as invested in their team, maybe those people were right and you were wrong this whole time. Chris B, you said, wait, did I miss a new report about McCarthy? Nah, I'm really just going off of an article that was on The Athletic, and then really just looking on Twitter, you know, 105.3 The Fan, and just kind of reading the post right now. Now, that's why the title says probably. You know what I'm saying? Because Mike McCarthy really could F it up in the next 3 games. He really can. If the Cowboys go out and compete and the young guys continue to get better, he has a very strong case on coming back. Very, very strong case. And I think that Jerry this whole time has been willing to let it play out. But maybe Jerry knew the whole time that he was bringing them back. Because I just look at how things were built. And I did a morning video. You guys, if you haven't, after this live, go check it out. I did a running back video on Rico on the Panthers. And it's just like everything that Jerry said goes against what we're doing. And I think that if more of the truth was used, instead of trying to sell what it is, because, you know what I'm saying, you got to keep your season ticket holders, you got to keep those guys, you got to keep them engaged so they can spend that money. But I think if more people, if Mike McCarthy had gotten an extension, and we knew that this year would be more of a changing of the guards, more of a regrouping for the next couple years, like next year, if we knew that it was more about getting some of the older guys out and building a stronger base, you know what I'm saying, like renovating, I think more people would have respected that, especially people like me. You know, I think where people are up in arms is that you told us something and that's not what you're doing, and you completely lying. Like, we're able to catch y'all in lies. Like, y'all trying to tell us about the salary cap. Bro, there are such things as over the cap and SPO track. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people out there who know these contracts in and out, can tell you what it is pre-June 1st, post-June 1st, if you cut people. You know what I'm saying? If you got a 5th-year option, there are websites out here that we have this information. You know what I'm saying? Like, they will lie to you, like, right in your face, bro. They will lie. And then gaslight you and get mad when you call out the facts. That's where I think that That's where I think that the fan outrage really came from. I think that's what it came from. The fact that, the product of which is out there, especially the home product, like, it's going to be really hard to sell season ticket holders on a product when your team is 1-6 at home, and I think maybe 4 out of 5 of them. How you doing? Maybe 4 out of 5 of them you got your ass beat. Out of 5, you got your ass beat at home. Like, it's really hard to sell that to a fan base. But, and I think that one of the things they're going to try and dangle to you is that Mike McCarthy's job is really on the line. I can't see it based on some of this feedback. Now, again, Jerry ass could be out here lying, but you can kind of tell when Jerry lying. And, you know what I'm saying, the actions are kind of lining up with what he's saying now. It wasn't lining up with what he was saying earlier, where it was like, we all in. Like, and that's what we was trying to tell people. We knew that before. Knew he was lying. Knew they were lying. Let me see what you got. Quote Yosef said, yeah, 30 years. Absolutely. Bro, you can't do something for 30 years, get the same results. You know what I'm saying? Then, keep saying and coming up with things. Like, after a while, man, 30 years is a long ass time. Like, if I've been fat for 30 years, bro, like, at some point, like, I gotta look at what it is. Like, either it's my genetics or it's my eating habits. You know what I'm saying? Could be a little bit of both. And I hate to say the whole fat thing, but, I'm out here walking. I'm trying to keep my genetics off me right now. Because I got some genetics. I got some good genetics, but I also got some genetics where if I sit around too long, yeah, nah, nope. All the men in my family, both sides, all of them got that Dunlap. It's not going to be me. So, you got to kind of jump out ahead of those type of things. But if I had been doing some of the same things for 30 years, guess what? My ass going to end up with Dunlap, or however you say it. That's what we are right now. That's what this franchise is. My man Chris May said it's been like Groundhog Day for 30 years, for sure. And it's been different ways. Like, either we've been ass, like completely ass. Like, it's actually been multiple ways, but it seems like it goes in cycles. Like either we just completely ass, and then, you know what I'm saying, we have a good draft, and then we're right back on top. We haven't had the middle of the pack type of season in a while. That's where I think we are right now. Y'all remember that year you remember them years when Romo and them was 8-8, 8-8, 8-8? That's where I think we are right now. And then you have those really good teams that look like they championship teams that get bounced in the damn divisional round. Like, we've seen the cycles happen over and over and over. And it's just like, at this point, you kind of get tired. You get tired of it. Let's see. Miss Jackie, why pretend? Can't do about it. Why we always in front of a camera? Why stop being in the public? Nobody cares. You're pissing off the fans again. I think that being in the camera, that's how he stays relevant. Some people master it. I don't know if I'm one of those people that can master being in front of a camera all the time. And people hang on to my every word. Jerry's one of those people. Jerry's a salesman. He's definitely a salesman, even at his age. He's not a dummy. Very, very smart. He's smart. You know what I'm saying? Steven and them are smart. And they know that if they just give us everything we want, like, that don't keep you coming back for more. Like, they got to give you a little bit of restraint. They got to give you a little teaser. And that just gets either you to hate them or you to love them. If everybody loves you, you're not as marketable. You know what I'm saying? The part that makes you the most marketable is when you have just as many people that love you You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of people that love you, but just as many people hate you. And there's no in between. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that Jerry and the Cowboys brand have marketed that very good over the years. Like, I can tell you, like, I'm one of the Cowboys content creators that everybody really respects. But I'm not gonna put up the numbers like that because I'm not gonna put out BS. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not gonna do it. And that's no shot to nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying people put out BS. I'm just always gonna stay true to who I am. And maybe those folks are being true to who they are. And, you know what I'm saying, they can get bigger numbers and stuff like that. I think that I'm in my niche. My niche is where I'm at right now. And I'm actually completely happy with how things are going. I think that I've been able to educate a lot of people on actual football decisions, like what football is. I'm not a guy that's going to get into the contracts. I'm not somebody that's going to get into the drama aspect of things. I think that's really what sells, drama. And I really don't like drama like that. It's a waste of energy, especially with this franchise, because they'll tell you one thing one day, and then tomorrow it'll be something else. Like, for example, Stephen Jones. And we'll get to that part right now. Stephen Jones saying Micah up, you know what I'm saying, up for trade discussions or whatnot, like they're open to it. Then Jerry's shutting that shit down. That very well could have been orchestrated, where it seems like Jerry and Stephen are at odds. And I think that you got to look at stuff like this, right? You got to look at it like WWE. I think if any of you guys are familiar with the show Power, I think that 50 created certain beefs with certain characters on the show or with other shows, with rival shows where, you know what I'm saying, they might be competing. Like Power Book 2 and what's that show about Meech? I forget, BMF. BMF and Power Book 2, they created a fake beef amongst each other so that they could get the ratings, they can get people to tune in. Or for example, Rotimi, or however you say his name, you know, there was a fake beef there, and then his song became number one. I think the Cowboys have realized that they can manipulate headlines over the years, and that's why they stay where they are. And I've often said it, I've been saying it lately, but marketing firm disguised as a football team. I forget where I got that from. I didn't make that up. Somebody said it. I don't know who said it. If you said it and you're watching this, tell me you said it, and I'll give you credit. But this is a marketing firm disguised as a football team. Straight up. Yeah, it's crazy. But Micah, see, the thing that I really like about Micah, and this is why I feel like we got to protect him at all costs, Micah really the one that's going to spill the beans. Micah really the one that they're going to tell you something is, they're going to tell you the sky's red, and Micah going to be like, the sky's blue in his podcast. And really, I can tell you they don't like the podcast. I can tell you why they don't like the podcast. If they could control it, if they were on the podcast, if they had creative control over it, nobody would give a damn. Because Cowboys players are always doing stuff. They're always doing stuff that are probably, you know what I'm saying, less football, about football. Cowboy players are always doing stuff. That man Romo played golf damn near his whole career with a bad back and shit. Romo was trying out for the PGA. Bad collarbones and all that type of stuff. Nobody gave a damn. You know what I'm saying? People talked about it, but it wasn't as big as the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see if I can think of something else. I mean, I think that's probably the best example that I could probably give you. That man Romo played golf until his damn clavicle fell off. Nobody gave a damn. Like, that's, that sport and football, I would imagine somebody who had as many injuries as Tony did, that might not have been the smartest thing, but nobody cared. Nobody cared. But the fact that Micah has a following, has some influence, is really good, is going to have leverage. See, that's the part. That's why they don't give a damn. Brock Hoffman got a damn podcast. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. You want to know why Brock Hoffman, why they didn't care about his podcast? Well, it was in the offseason. He hasn't shot it during the year. But Brock Hoffman, even if he shot it right now, ain't going to have the leverage that Micah's about to have. See, with Micah having that podcast, Micah building a following, building his brand, he's going to be a lot harder to talk to at the table, especially with his production being as good as it is. With his production being as good as it is, he being as good as he is, him building the brand, he's going to be the villain because we got to dial it down a little bit. We got to dial that down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We're all about Cowboys fan. We all about the Cowboys building their brands. As a matter of fact, that's a bargaining chip when we try and get them to sign for cheap contracts. That you being a Cowboy is going to go further than your career. But when you got a guy that's doing that, that's using that platform, that's actually balling and doing, you know what I'm saying, like doing what he needs to do, then it's a problem. And he's going to become the villain. And, there are a whole bunch of things going on with him right now that, you can kind of tell. It hasn't been put out there, but Micah got to go through a lot of crap. You can kind of tell. You can kind of tell through his brother. You look at, if you follow his brother Terrence on Twitter, and I'm not saying that he is his brother or anything like that, but I'm going to tell you this. If my sister was a professional athlete and I knew that the organization she played for didn't do the very best to protect her, to make sure that she had the people around, or, you know what I'm saying, they allow people to paint as a villain, I'm going to be just like Tad. I'm going to be just like Terrence. I'm going to be just like both of them. You know what I mean? Like, Micah about to become the villain, and I've been telling people that for probably maybe a year and a half now. Like, I was like, man, if y'all think these DAC negotiations is crazy, y'all wait till Micah got to come to this table. And guess what? CD didn't say nothing. CD didn't have no issues, no off the field anything. And, they made CD's negotiations tough. And bro out there balling. He's earned every penny. I mean, it's to the point now where, I'm almost wondering what CD's playing for at this point. Not him, because you know the type of player he is. He's a dog. CD Lamb is a dog. He's a dog and a half. Micah's a dog and a half. And there's a common denominator about those guys, too. There's a common denominator about those guys. And I hope that, the Cowboys pay attention to it. The common denominator is both of those guys were BPA. They both fell to us. Like, we were not supposed to get Micah Parsons. We were not supposed to get CeeDee Lamb. And guess what? We took them. And they are almost, if not the very best, at what they do. And I hope that Dallas, this draft, continues to follow that. Because whenever Dallas decides that we're going to build depth, or we're going to, try and get somebody to complement somebody, that's when we don't have as strong a draft classes as we normally do or should have. But when Dallas gets BPA, you happen to get stuff that falls in place like Trayvon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb back to back. We got to stop making our guys villains. And I think we as fans have to stop falling for the okie doke. We got to stop falling for the okie doke. Let me tell y'all something. Micah Parsons' podcast is not hurting this team. And that it goes full circle to what I was saying. Micah didn't have no podcast. Micah didn't have no podcast 30 years ago. Micah had no podcast 15 years ago. Micah ain't had no podcast when Romo was here. He didn't. But we constantly keep finding these narratives as to why we are the way we are. When in actuality, there's two people that have been here that long. Hell, Will McClay ain't even been here that long. You know, after a while, we got to start blaming the common denominator. Oh, yeah. Oh, Miss Jackie, you absolutely right. Because while Micah got a podcast, ain't nobody saying nothing about Jerry having a weekly damn radio show or all that type of jazz. I'm trying to figure out what other owner / GM has a weekly radio spot. You know what I'm saying? One in which they threaten to fire the damn host. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I will say this, though. I give flowers when it's time to give flowers. And I also will let you know if it stinks when it stinks. The thing that has stunk has been us overall over that time period, 27 years, 26 years. Overall, we kind of stunk, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because we've had some players, we've had some teams during that time that just didn't reach their potential. But what I will say is, like I said earlier for the people that missed, we know how to build lines and we know how to find running backs when we actually invest in the position. And I said this yesterday, they're trying so very hard to make it seem like it was that Herschel Walker deal as to why we won 3 championships. That's really what they want you to believe. Not that it was drafting Emmitt Smith and then eventually leaning and running Emmitt Smith, who was a first-round pick, by the way. Emmitt was a first-round pick, and in his first year, they ain't run him like that. Towards the end, they started running him. The next year, we became a playoff team with a deep run. And then eventually led to Super Bowls, it led to MVPs and all that stuff. Now, I'm not somebody that likes to, because, I think that decades are different and times are different. But what I can say over the times are when we have a strong running game and we lean on it and we invest in that position, we're normally a really good team. We're normally really, really good. And I think that that's what we need to try and do. You know, I think if Dallas had tried to make Troy, out to be Dan Marino, out to be, Jim Kelly had a run game. But if we had tried to make Troy Aikman Dan Marino, we wouldn't have been a very good team. We wouldn't have won no championships. I think Troy would attest to that. I think he would. But that's what we're trying to do now. And I think that it's crazy because, look, there was no salary cap and stuff at that time like that. There was no salary cap. So it was a little different in that aspect. But team building is team building. And if you're really good at something, I think you should stick with it. I think you should stick with what you're really good at when it comes to team building. We're really good at architecting a run game when we try, when we actually buy into that. Do I think that Rico is sustainable long term with how things are right now? Nah, I don't. Do I think Rico can be part of the plan to be sustainable? Yes, I do. If we're not afraid to go out there and get better than Rico. I also think Rico can carve out a little role and make him a little bit of money, you know? Because I'll tell you, I've seen guys like Rico, because there's a guy like Kevin Falk who carved out a role in New England for quite some time. And nobody would ever say, hey, Kevin Falk needs to be our lead back. Nope. Ain't nobody that stupid. Ain't nobody that stupid. But you knew that Kevin Falk was good at catching the ball out of the backfield. He was good, timely third downs. You know, I want to say he might have won a Super Bowl for them on a toss or something like that. I think it was him. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I think it was. My whole thing is, when we lean on the run game and we build everything outside of it, around it, like the defense, our play action game, we're normally a really good team. And I think that maybe they should try and figure that out in the offseason. Maybe they should say, you know what we're really good at? We're good at this. So let's keep building on it. I know that a lot of you guys don't want them to get a running back in the first round. I'm not saying they got to do it. But you got to get a running back within your first 2 rounds. You have to, in my opinion. It's got to be first 2 rounds. It's got to be, you know. Now, I got to do some digging. I still got to do receiver. There's some receivers that I do like. There's some receivers that I would take in the first. I looked at tackles so far. I've looked at the top guys. Not impressed. Because I know that that's an area that they like to do. They like to, well, we can get a tackle and convert them to guard or something like that. I don't think that there's a guy right there. I think you go defense before you do that. There's some defensive players that you could decide to build on the defense, and that helps the run game, and they go hand in hand, the defense and the run game. But if Mike is going to be what we go with, and we're going to keep Mike Zimmer, I do think that you do have to give Zimmer some tools. You got to give him what he need to work with. He might need 1 or 2 more defensive tackles. He's definitely going to need a safety or 2. He's definitely going to need a safety or 2. On the offense, we need running backs and receivers. Running backs and receivers. Point blank, period. And a dark horse need for me is quarterback. I think quarterback is, y'all could be okay with Cooper Rush. For me, I need somebody that's younger, that might be a little bit better. I think that there are young guys out there that can do what Cooper Rush is doing right now that won't cost you a game, that probably have a little bit more arm talent. Because I don't think that it takes very much to do what Cooper Rush is doing. Cooper Rush is getting the play, and he's carrying it out. He's about as game manager as they come. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's been doing that for a long time, and I don't think that it's been putting the fire up under Dak like it needs to. I don't think the season should be over just because Dak is hurt. And I also think, based on this year, Dak got to play better. And I think Dak will tell you he needs to play better. He's got to play better. Point blank. When we have Dak, we can't just call the offense and have him try and bail us out when we ain't got no receivers. We got to help him out with the roster. We got to help him out with the run game. And we got to help him out by getting him some weapons, getting him some guys on the outside. Because with how we're structured right now, I don't give a damn how much he's making. He ain't good enough to overcome all that. It is what it is. Now, maybe you can help him overcome with better play calling and with better players around him. I think that that's the formula. It's worked for him before. It's worked multiple times with Dak, actually. It's worked multiple times. So I think that it can work again. Why wouldn't you want, if you got to play this way, why wouldn't you want it to be Dak? Because I think that Dak makes some of these throws that Cooper Rush is missing, some of these plays that he's missing. Hell, maybe we score some of the time that we're down there and we're inside the 20. We're kicking a lot of field goals. Trust me, I know. Because I got our kicker in fantasy. And Aubrey is kicking ass. Definitely kicking ass. Jackie said, sell us with good roster and first-class free agents, then you can blow your horn. Nah, don't even blow your horn then. Don't even blow your horn then. We got to be able to win when it's time for us to win. We got to start beating good teams in crucial games. We got to start beating good teams in crucial games. And with how we're building, we're just not as good as the teams that we're playing. We're just not as good as the teams we're playing. And what happens is when you're not as good as the teams that you're playing, you got to kind of play perfect football games. And guess what? We don't got them type of players that can play perfect games consistently. I'm going to tell you this. I love him to death. I love Dak. But he's not somebody that can consistently, you know what I'm saying, throughout a whole course of a year. He's not going to play perfect football. You know what I'm saying? And then what he's going to do, he's going to get in his own head a little bit. And we don't have anybody outside of him that can kind of reel things in, which is why I'm asking for a run game. Or why I'm asking for another receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb. Why I'm asking for all that. Because, I mean, it's noted. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it because everybody got mental issues. But Dak be pressing, y'all. Dak definitely be pressing in these games. And I ain't going to sit here and hold you. I've done that in my past before. We out here, you pressing, you try and play perfect, and then it's like quicksand. I think it was the Replacements, where you make a bad play and you try and make another good play, and then it's another bad play and it's another bad play. Like, sports mental health, that's a real thing. And Dak definitely suffers from it. Now, one thing I will say is when he on, he on. When he off, he off. And sometimes you can see him go hot, and then a couple things go wrong, and then my guy's cold. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta help him. Because if we help him, I think we'll get the very best out of him. I do believe that. I believe that for quite some time. Jackie said, no Cooper Rush. We need a running quarterback, somebody who's a threat. I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think that it's got to be somebody that, it's got to be somebody that can play, man. Because when Dak go down, I mean, let's just keep it 100. Let's keep it funky. Dak gets hurt a lot. His body's getting older. They're starting to cut into that body. And the game is only getting faster. Game's only getting faster. And if you're not running the ball and you're dropping back 40 times, 50 times, you're only putting him in dangerous way. He's going to start taking some of the biggest hits. There have been some hits that I've seen Dak take, and I'm like, damn, I don't know how he did that and delivered that football. And I talked about it with Boss Cowboy yesterday. If you're dropping back 40 to 50 times and you a tackle and you tearing through, and it's not your strength, of course, guys that where it's their strength to rush the passer, of course they're going to pick up on the tendencies. And of course they're going to beat him 2 to 3 times. Like, can y'all imagine if a team came out and said, we're going to throw 40 or 50 times and we got Micah out there? You think Micah ain't going to move around and figure some stuff out and end up with 2-3 sacks? See, the problem with us is on that side, other teams say, yeah, we ain't about to throw 40 or 50 times. If we do, we getting it out quick. But what we're going to do, we're going to run right at y'all. We're going to try and run y'all ears off. That's what they do. So we do the opposite with Dak at quarterback. Yeah, we on the same page, Mr. Jackie. We on the same page. Agent 9 said, don't draft no offensive lineman in the first 3 rounds. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say that totally, because if it's BPA, I'm just team BPA. So if it's the best player available, then it's the best player available. I like what we got on the offensive line right now, but as you guys can see the other day, some guys went down and got hurt. I do think that you're going to need like a mid-round guard center type. I do think that. I don't think we need no more damn tackles, but I think, mid-round. Y'all about to see this big-ass hill I'm going up. But I do think we need a guard or center in the mid-rounds because, you got to think about guys like Willetsko. You're probably going to move on from him. There's a couple of other things that could be shuffled, so I'm not against getting a mid-round guard center that has some traits that you might be able to make something because, like I said, we are good at building lines. We're good at building culture. And it seems like when you put Hoffman in there with anybody next to him, it seems like we can still run the football. We do need weapons, though. We definitely need weapons. I'm 100% on that, with you on that. I mean, there's a mid-round guy that is a weapon. I want you guys to look him up for Oregon. I know we ain't going to draft him, but it's the type of weapon that we need. And I think that eventually Kevontae Turpin is going to become a little bit too expensive for you. He probably is, Maybe, maybe not. I like Turpin. But I think Turpin on the open market, teams are going to nab him up real quick. They're going to nab him up real quick if we don't pay him. But look up Tez Johnson from Oregon. A lot of people like Luther Burden. That's my if we don't get Luther Burden plan. I like Tez Johnson out of Oregon. Great route runner. Very, very quick, fast. I think he's a 4.3 guy. Me and Foots the King. He told me about him, and I watched him, and I absolutely loved what I saw. That's our Tank Dell. We screwed up. We didn't get Tank Dell. Here we go, y'all. I'm walking up the hill. We didn't get Tank Dell. So Tez Johnson is the type that maybe in the 3rd round, if you don't get a receiver in the first 2, that you can look at. And I've been told there's some cat from San Jose State. On Twitter, people have been telling me about him. We definitely got to get some weapons, though. Like actual weapons. Guys that aren't the number 4 receivers at South Carolina. Or, what I'm saying? I know San Jose State, I said that, but can't get no 3rd rounder from South Alabama that, what I'm saying, really ain't proven against the top competition. We got to get guys that it don't matter who they line up against, they can beat them. You ain't going to be able to jam them. You ain't going to be able to do nothing with them if you ain't got no help. And we got to pair that up with CeeDee Lamb. We also got to have an insurance plan for CeeDee Lamb in case he start doing that pouting shit. We always talk about it. Landlord said it. CD start that pouting. Go get a receiver out there that when he start that pouting, all right, we good. Because it does happen. I think you ain't seen as much pouting because Cooper Rush, he ain't got nobody else to throw the ball to. Cooper gonna say, F it. I'm gonna go to who can make the play. Dak be out that joint trying to pinpoint and thread the needle to damn guys that got hands like me. I got running back hands. Dak be trying to thread the needle to guys that just don't got the pedigree. Ain't nothing wrong with it, but I'm just saying. Ain't nothing wrong with them. I think it could be something wrong with the decision making. Yeah, that hill is a monster. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It always is. So my voice was getting all like losing breath. I promise y'all I'm not out of shape. I can run that hill if I need to. But towards the end of it, it get real steep. Where I'm from, they call it Superman Hill. Carl Whittington. We should take care of both lines of free agency lightly. And in the draft for permanent people. There are so many good running backs in this draft. We should definitely been able to get one. Yes, absolutely, Carl. 100%. 100% on that one, brother. 100%. Let's be real. We have so many holes. If they don't do something in free agency, we are screwed anyway. Yep. And they got money. They're acting like they ain't got no money. They got money. You know, as a fan base, as the fans, we got to push that on them. You know what I'm saying? We need the Jane Slaters. We need Jane to keep, you know what I'm saying, pushing the gas on them questions. You know what I'm saying? Jane be on them. Oh, if you ain't here, man, hit that like button. Hit that like button for me, please. Let's let everybody know that I am live. Right now, it's been live for almost an hour. That's what I'll be out here getting my walks in. Damn, this is almost a 3.5 mile walk. But I gotta start bringing y'all with me all the time because it didn't seem like it was almost 3.5 miles. I gotta bring y'all with me all the time. Shit, I gotta find something where it can hold my phone and I'm not holding my phone up, and I can just walk and talk to y'all. I'm gonna see if they got some contraptions out there. I don't know, but seems like a pretty good exercise to do. Either I'm walking on the treadmill or something like that, and you know I can talk to y'all and answer any questions or any comments, you know, that's going on with the daily news cycle. And I'm pretty sure there will probably be something else that pops up today, because there always is. Like I'm on the East Coast, so around 3 o'clock, around about between 3 to 5, there's always something that pops up. I mean, lately with us has been injuries. You know, we find out about somebody's injury being worse than what it is. Carl Whittington said, I got linebacker hands, man. I can't catch a cold. It's funny because, man, you know, it's actually ironic because I can play receiver. You know what I'm saying? In high school, I was a good receiver when I played it. I was an athlete. I was a good receiver when I played it. My hands aren't the strongest, but if it's out there, like, I'm gonna try my damnedest to catch. I'm gonna catch the ball at a high percentage, but my hands aren't that great. My hand coordination is good, but my hands aren't that great. But for the most part, I'm gonna come down with it. I got Noah Brown hands. Noah Brown got good eye-hand coordination, but he ain't got good hands. So when you get somebody that's throwing the ball like 90 miles an hour, you know what I'm saying? That's when you find out who got real good hands or not. And that's why I know, like, oh, I got running back hands. I ain't got real receiver hands. And that's who we be threading the ball. We be threading the needle into those type of guys. Y'all know what I'm talking about, especially if you played. If you play, you know what I'm talking about. There are different tiers of quarterbacks throwing you the ball. And I ain't going to say and hold you and say Dak don't be throwing no fastballs. Dak be throwing them. And the thing about Dak is his fastballs be high, though. Like, Dak don't throw the low and away type fastballs. He be throwing them high fastballs. So if you ain't got hands, bro, that joint going to bounce off your hands. It's going to end up being a pick. For the most part, at least. But for some odd reason, them damn DBs don't be dropping them joints. Them damn DBs, it must look different on the other side. Actually, you know what? The high passes as a DB, it's not as hard when you're backpedaling. But when you're running and you got to try and track them joints, it's a lot harder to catch them. It's a lot harder to catch those type of footballs than if you backpedaling and you trying to break on it. So, you know, that's where we are with that. Carl, I played in high school, but now, that was a hell of a long time ago. I'm 50 now. It's actually funny, though, because I'm 38. I'm 38, and it seems like high school was yesterday. But that might be because I coach high schoolers, and I never really left like that. I did leave. Don't get me wrong. I have a profession and everything. I go back and coach high school because between that and youth, those are the age groups that I like to show them the game early. I like to because I don't like no fundamentals. I'm a high fundamentals teacher. Like we gonna learn the basics and we gonna master the basics. If you can master the basics of anything, you'll be good anywhere. You'll be good to play anywhere. So that's really where, you know what I'm saying, I could have been a college coach. Could probably still be a college coach. Could have been a pro coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not hard to network in that space. I was networking this year. It's not hard to network in that space. And quite frankly, just like there are bad high school coaches, there are bad college coaches too. Bad NFL coaches. You know, but coaching is about networking. If you can network with the right people, you can, you know what I'm saying, get in where you finna. But I appreciate y'all for being on the walk with me. I'm about to go inside, you know what I'm saying, shower, finish my work day, all that type of stuff. But, you know, I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment section after this video or whatnot, or y'all let me know if y'all want me to make this a daily thing where I'm walking and we talking. You know what I'm saying? Walking like we talking. All right. Appreciate y'all. We out. Peace.